Shanghai actually has slipped into the red right now. It is around 4 points lower. Nikkei is doing quite well. It's around 95 points higher as we speak. Hang Seng also doing well.
Thursday's key takeaway for me was the return of strength in the Bank Nifty.
One Horizon Center, the building that we have purchased, the current rental is in the ballpark of 147, 148 crores.
It is a fresh all-time high for the Nifty, and of course, on expected lines, 13,777 has been taken out. 13,836 is what we have.
We are in a macro-oriented market, not just a micro-oriented market.
PLI is very encouraging in the sense that it gives opportunities for people to focus on production-linked incentives.
We are looking possibly at a credit growth about 6 to 7% this year.
The Nifty, which is up around 83 odd points. We have the mid-cap index, which is marginally outperforming.
With commodity exporting countries, they get higher prices for what they sell, and this creates greater value, which in turn leads to larger emerging market trade surpluses. The market is the top headline. It's another all-time high.
Yes, all-time high it is for the Nifty, for the Sensex, and once again, second day running, the big trade has played out in the Bank Nifty, which is up almost 1.5%, in fact, more than 1.5%, approaching a 500-point gain. This on top of what you saw on Thursday. So in 2 days, almost a 1,000-point rally is what you've seen in the Bank Nifty. A lot of stocks doing well. Of course, Tata Motors has been the stock of the day. We've discussed that at length through the day and even on Thursday. But so many stocks doing well, metals, NBFCs. It's tough really to spot any kind of losers in today's trade. Biocon perhaps, if you want to be nitpicking about this market, but otherwise a very, very strong day for the bulls. Once again, the expiry week has started with a bang, and let's see whether we can now go past 3,900 as well. Surabhi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anuj. Indeed, Evan, it's a party all the way, isn't it? And so many legs to this market, as you're saying today. So many different themes playing out. Life insurance, for instance, is sort of back with a bang. By the way, Reliance has moved down to the lows of the session, though, I mean, it's still positive, so that's still a support for this market. So what we're seeing now, Anuj, is it more in a build-up to the monthly expiry, or is this just still a lot of money chasing? The FPI number is lesser now because we're at the year end, but it's still a big positive 4-digit number.
I think two things have happened, from the start of Thursday, which is the economy-facing stocks have once again started to make a comeback. When we had that last Monday's move with second strain and all of that, all of a sudden you saw that move towards defensives.
Pharma and IT.
Pharma and IT. So that has played out. I think the economy-facing stock, those trades have again started to play up. So all your banks, autos, NBFCs, they are doing well. As we speak, Nifty Pharma is actually in the red. Though IT has done reasonably well. It's up 0.6%. It's not as if it's fallen. But look at the Bank Nifty move, Surabhi, 1.5% on the Bank Nifty, and this is on top of Thursday. And remember the point I was making on Thursday as well, when we had that just last 30-minute slip on the Bank Nifty, that was an expiry play, and perhaps the unfinished business the Bank Nifty has would be done. Now the key question is, can this catch up, take the Bank Nifty also towards its previous high of 32,000? Other stocks are beginning to look well. Look at something like a Bata in the last few minutes of trade, the way that stock has moved. Look at something like say an RBL Bank. That's moved up. On Thursday, we discussed Tata Motors. Look at the way that stock has moved up. And all of these are basically trades which were doing well up until the Monday of last week. On Monday, all of these stocks fell big.
Yeah, because the mutant worry came back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now, and the market put those worries behind it in 2 days. Index normally catches up first, and then you have individual stocks catching up later, and that's what's happening right now with all these stocks.
Okay, it's a big rally continuing, and a lot of confidence on the screen once again. So let's tell you what we are covering over the next 1 hour. The risk on trade is back with a bang on Dalal Street. Financials, real estate, metals and industrial stocks have been outperforming today. Mid caps also stealing a march over large caps. So we'll analyze all of the day's trends with our experts as we go along. Now, in specific stock action, the Tata Motors stock is the big Nifty gainer. Fears of the impact on the company's European operations from a no-deal Brexit have gone off the table, and that's worked very well for the counter, 6% higher in counting. So we get some analysis going on the show. Piramal Enterprises, another stock to focus on. It's higher on hopes of the company clinching DHFL in the bidding process, which is getting hotter and hotter by the day. We'll get an update with Ritu as well on that one. Today, our Alpha Manager on the show is Harish Krishnan, Senior VP and Equity Fund Manager at Kotak AMC. By the way, Harish also manages Kotak's Infrastructure Fund. So when we talk about this economy-facing trade, how do you play it? We'll ask Harish as we go along.
Okay, how should you position yourself in this last hour of trade? We have Mitesh Thakkar now joining us. Mitesh, good afternoon. So, a very strong move once again in the Bank Nifty. But your thoughts on the index trade now, and what would be your stock calls?
So, Anuj, earlier in the day we spoke about possibilities of markets heading beyond 3900, 3950 zones. I think that still remains. The Bank Nifty, as you rightly highlighted, I think also is showing strength and has crossed the second pivot of 30,800. Having done that, I think the Bank Nifty chart suggests that the next target could be in a range of about 31,300, 31,400 zones. So there's still about good trading upside left, and therefore maintain long positions. The ideal way to protect your longs would be to trail your stop losses on the indices. Now on the Nifty at about 13,790 compared to 13,760 is where we began with, and just take it up by another 30 points. And around 3950, I would look to take some profits. Sorry. On stock side, I have two buy calls. The first one is a buy on HDFC Life with a stop at 664, targets of 700, and RBL Bank, that's a buy with a stop at 220 for targets of 238.
Okay, got that, Mitesh. Thanks for the calls. Let's get going with our analysis. And first up, as we promised, Tata Motors, look at the move on the stock today. It's really in top gear, isn't it? 6% and almost now at the 190 level. We have Sonia joining in to help us understand how this Brexit, and now it's not a no-deal Brexit anymore. There is a trade agreement in place. How that seems to be helping Tata Motors. Sonia.
Well, thanks a lot for that. As you rightly pointed out, it's this whole Brexit overhang which is now out of the way. As we understand it, the EU-UK deal has been struck, allowing free trade of goods with zero tariffs. So this removes the uncertainty. Now Jaguar Land Rover can freely sell their goods, import and export their goods without additional costs between the UK and the European Union. This, of course, removes the overhang, but also most analysts and the investor community expects Jaguar Land Rover to be largely compliant to the rules of rules of origin requirements. So that doesn't seem to be an issue. Also, many brokerages are positive on Tata Motors and JLR because the management has reiterated their guidance for JLR to be free cash flow positive and for the earnings to improve by the end of the year as well. So CLSA has a target price of 220. They maintain a buy. They forecast a sequential volume recovery for Jaguar Land Rover coupled with cost and model rationalization. But I do want to put the valuations on board because Tata Motors is not cheap even by global standards. Currently, the stock is up over 80% in the last 6 months. And if you look at the valuations, it trades at 20.4 times FY22 price to earnings and 10.4 times FY23 price to earnings. Now, global companies are valued at an EV to EBITDA basis. So if you look at the premium car space, something like a Daimler, for example, trades at 2.5 times FY22 EV to EBITDA, while Tata Motors trades at 3.9 times FY22 EV to EBITDA. So it's trading at a big premium to even some of the large global players. So not a cheap stock by any means, but definitely the management's optimistic views and now the overhang out of the way is a big positive for Tata Motors. Back to you.
Okay, Sonia, thanks very much for that. So those are the fundamentals. By the way, stocks had a stunning recovery from the lows of March, 65, 66. But otherwise, if you look at it, it's up about 5-6%. Anuj, you had spoken about this on Thursday.
Yeah.
This was your stock 360. Do you think this re-rating can trigger things even higher up from here on?
And despite all this rally, let's not forget that on a year-to-date basis, it's still done nothing. I mean, it's been that kind of a stock, like we discussed, from 52-week high and 52-week low. This is one stock which has had the biggest variation. And that has been the case with Tata Motors for some time now. So I think Tata Motors turned the corner when, or from the market's point of view, when N. Chandra came and, I think it was 3 months back, and he spoke about, making the company going forward debt-free and, generating positive cash flows.
Yeah.
I think all of that helped. The only issue with Tata Motors is that at the end of the day, it's a bit of a global cyclical. In a sense that, it's 80% of Tata Motors is what JLR.
Yeah.
So, and we've had things in the past where it looked like JLR is turning the corner, and then 2 to 3 quarters of pains once again comes back. That will always be the reason that Tata Motors perhaps will not be a portfolio stock, a long-term portfolio bet, but it will always give you these great trading opportunities. If you have a trading portfolio and if you can identify these cycles, I think Tata Motors will make you a lot of money. I think between Thursday and now, for example, it's moved 15 rupees. Thursday morning, it was 171, and that and that was the opportunity. And now it's at 187. So, as I said, it's a stock which is not for faint-hearted ones. It's for the ones who know what they're doing, and they know at what price they're entering and what price they're exiting.
Okay, fair point. Well, let's welcome in Anand Tandon into the conversation as well. Anand, thanks for joining in. So, we were just having this chat on Tata Motors, tracking its big move, and the fact that this Brexit overhang is perhaps behind it. But given the stock's rally, is there any case to look at it now, or best left to the traders, as Anuj says?
Well, clearly from a momentum perspective, it is one of those stocks which is going up. So if you're a trader, you need to be in it. But from a fundamental perspective, both valuation as well as cash flows, I would be somewhat circumspect. Anuj referred to the talk that Mr. Chandrasekhar had mentioned about trying to make it, cash flow positive. I'd like to see that happen before we actually start, assuming that, what the management says is what it will be able to execute on. The Tata Group has been absolutely fantastic in being able to talk stocks up. We have seen that happen in Tata Consumer. We have seen that happen in Tata Communication. We have now seeing it happen in Tata Motors, even Tata Power, where at best the kind of debt reduction that has been rather minor. In all of this, however, their market has kind of backed up what the Tata management has been talking about. So, obviously there must be some strategy behind in terms of trying to reduce debt overall and making sure that it actually happens. Not very apparent right now. Overall, if you have to be in the passenger vehicle space, then you're better off looking at the Indian market where there's a greater chance of revival.
Yeah, that I think point is taken well on board. Even Tata Power is doing well. Anand, good afternoon. Insurance is the other space which is making a big comeback, and you've seen all the names do well. HDFC Life, SBI Life, Max Financial back above 700 now. Any views here and any top picks here?
Well, here, this is one sector which I'm also comfortable with, except for, right now on a valuation basis, many other stocks look somewhat expensive. But besides the point, the reality is that the runway still continues to remain very large. And the number of players who can actually enter this and sustain is not going to be very large, simply because of the fact that, when you get into a life insurance contract, you're talking about 20, 30 years of payout from a premium perspective. And after that, you have to assume that they will be able to honor the contract. So if some event does happen. So you are going to go with very, very high quality companies with very few, very few companies which will come in who will be kind of fly by night. So most of the companies that I hear are very strong, have very strong parentage. In my view, besides LIC, of course, because of the government implicit and explicit backing, the next in line is clearly SBI. SBI has a tremendous value add simply because the banking sector itself, the SBI Bank sells only this company, SBI Life Insurance, whereas every other parent bank of the insurance company sells multiple products. So simply from that perspective alone, SBI Life has a greater runway because of the kind of access they have. It doesn't prevent them from having more bank assurance kind of contract with other banks. So, you have the best of both worlds. So to my mind, that remains one of the companies which is likely to show you the best consistent performance. But other than that, I think it's really a question of picking out whichever at that point of time is not doing so well, simply because you would only buy these companies at a time when they look like they are going through a slightly rough patch to get a better value.
Okay, interestingly, the life insurance stocks, most of them, year to date, if you look at it December to December or Jan to Jan, they've not done too much. They're in single digit moves here and there. Of course, the rally from the lows is a different case altogether. One more stock that's on our radar today is DLF. The stock has been gaining in today's action. Now, the company's rental arm will be buying Heinz stake in a premium commercial project in Gurugram. This is a project where there was already an existing JV between DLF and Heinz, and now DLF is going to buy out Heinz completely. It'll spend 780 crore rupees in order to do that. We spoke with the management to understand the whole rationale and the numbers. Hear out what they told us.
At the moment that our platform already is extremely strong. We've got 35 million of completed assets which are potentially REITable. I think we have to go in for some internal structuring in terms of subsidiary company, holding company, putting assets in various buckets, etc. And I believe this process will take us about 9 to 12 months. At the moment that our platform already is extremely strong. We've got 35 million of completed assets which are potentially REITable. I think we have to go in for some internal structuring in terms of subsidiary company, holding company, putting assets in various buckets, etc. And I believe this process will take us about 9 to 12 months.
Okay, so that's DLF. Anand, you heard the management there. Now their commentary has been very bullish. On last Thursday, they told us about the new residential project that sold off like hotcakes. It was, I think, gone in one day flat. And now these deals happening on the office side, the REIT that's about to come. What's your view on the stock?
Well, I have been positive now on real estate for a while. And I think that optimism essentially comes from the fact that we are back to a situation where we have negative real interest rates. And therefore, to my mind, the play you are looking at is inflation. Now, it may seem strange to talk about inflation where inflation has been dead in most countries for more than a decade. But in India, it's a recent phenomenon. And I don't think that the way the MPC is going, you will be able to keep inflation under control. Hence, almost all asset classes which are based on hard assets will actually do well. And, with the kind of housing finance rates that we have and so on, obviously, you are going to look at demand going up from here on, given the fact that for several years there has been a fall both in the quantity of new product that has been coming in the market on the residential side across most markets, as well as the fact that, there has, because of work from home, there is this increased demand for, perhaps better quality homes. So for most people, especially in the organized sector where they have managed to retain their jobs, it's a good time to be buying real estate. And since no new inventory has come up, the inventory is slowly moving down. So yes, at this stage, most real estate companies look good. REITs, however, unfortunately, is not something that you could really play as a retail investor simply because most of the REITs give you a very low yield in India, though theoretically you are also getting the asset appreciation. But it's so far remained an institutional kind of product. If the management of that were to move out of the companies which are actually managing the REITs in the sense that it's not good to have the developer itself managing the REIT. In my view, that's one of the big issues. Then it will certainly be an issue. It will certainly be an asset that is worth really looking at.
Okay, you know what, Surabhi, just to reiterate one simple point, and DLF has clearly made some kind of a bottom. I think Godrej Properties has been the stunning stock. If you see the entire Indian real estate sector, you can buy the entire Indian real estate sector for 1.2 lakh crore market cap. Everything, starting from DLF, which is at 58,000 crore. Second is Godrej Properties, 36,000 crores. Then Oberoi is at 20,000 crores, and Prestige is at 10,000 crores. Rest are very small after that. The peak market cap for DLF alone was 2.5 lakh crores.
Yeah.
And that was, of course, that was a time of complete frenzy. There was Unitech as well. Here you have so many companies in fancy sectors which have market cap. Adani Green, for example, it has a market cap of in excess of 2 lakh crores, 2.2, 2.3 lakh crores, where all there is a promise. We don't know how the delivery is going to be, and here you have the entire real estate. These are some sort of equilibriums or disequilibriums which exist in the market, and then the market's perhaps in the process of correcting that. That I think is one reason. Also, as DLF was telling us in the morning, that perhaps things didn't go that bad post-COVID and now coming back to normal. So all of this is clearly helping. Let's do one thing. We'll take a break with the news that the markets put on some more weight. The Bank Nifty is now up 500 points, approaching almost 31,000 on that index. That's been a strong move. And let's pull out the intraday chart of HDFC Bank, in fact, just to see the kind of participation that one is having. That's helping. SBI as well is at high point of the day. Kotak Mahindra Bank has moved up, and HDFC Limited also moving up. So a lot of stocks doing well right now. We'll take a break. We'll come back with our alpha manager for the day, Harish Krishnan of Kotak Asset Management.